Happy birthday to Krishna. So today being the Krishna's Janmashtami. Fortunate enough that Monday falls this time on Krishna Jayanti day for our discourse also. Last time when we met, Arjuna was asking Krishna, how do I know? When do I know that I have achieved a state of mind which is established in truth? When do I know that a person is truly enlightened? That was the question. And Krishna answered, when you cross the delusion of your mind, when you are able to see the things clearly, from good from bad, without any difference at all, then you have successfully accomplished, enlightened. Now next shloka that Arjuna is going to ask is more relevant to all of us. How do I identify a person who is enlightened? Let's see that shloka. Let me share my screen. Arjuna uvacha स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम्. Arjuna is more specific. What is the identity of a person who has got enlightenment? Is there any signature to him? Will he have any special traits? Will he be special in terms of his walking, talking, breathing, sitting, standing? People who travel to the Himalayas are the ones, or people who live in this world, normal world, can also be enlightened. How can I identify a person who is enlightened? We used to wonder about this too. After enlightenment, is there anything like a light that just shows up, or the halo effect behind the person's head, or any such thing will happen so that we can immediately discern, say that okay, this person is enlightened? We are also curious to know the answer to this question. And that is the reason that Arjuna had put that question in front of Krishna, asking him to reveal the identity, characteristics, signature of a person who is well established in knowledge, wisdom, and achieved enlightenment. A person who has perfectly done and attained the yoga of uniting his self with that of Paramatma. Earlier in one of the shlokas, yoga was defined to be one where our individual being just merges as one with Paramatman, that God. God is not outside anywhere. We have been saying that look for God outside all the time. God is right inside us. We have a lot of opportunity and possibilities to meet Him right inside us ourselves than going elsewhere hunting for where is God. An attempt has to be made by a true seeker in order to discover the truth behind God. Will He reveal Himself? Yes, of course. If that person makes that attempt, that first step towards walking, towards God. Every action that we do in this world, if you look at it, are all outgoing actions. From our mind, we just perform, do, right? We just, our mind operates in the outside world in terms of objects, people, actions, results, everything is outside. And our mind also is constantly engaged in looking for outside opportunities, outside pleasures, outside for happiness. But very few are willing to look inside for the answer. Everyone has got that ability of looking inside, turning inside. It's like a U-turn. Now, instead of going outside, our mind needs to go inward, start discovering inside. Such a person who has completely turned his mind inward and discovered that eternal bliss, and one who is situated in there. In one of the first word, if you observe it, he says sthita prajnasya. Sthita prajna. That's a word that Arjuna is using. One who is prajna is intelligence. Sthita prajna, very well established in that intelligence. Intelligence is not worldly intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Intelligence about God within ourselves, and not just the knowledge or intelligence, but truly attaining it and well established in that. Sthita prajnaha. Every one of us should attempt to become a sthita prajnaha. That should be our goal. So to that person who has become a sthita prajnaha, well established, how can we identify him? Because this is all happening inside. This is never an outside job where we go and then do 100 and then donate 100 lamps to the nearby mandir, or 1000 people, feed 1000 people. No, we cannot realize or stay established in that intelligence by doing all those things. Maybe they will earn good karma, punyas will accumulate, and that too without we attaching fruits. If we do it, we will accumulate some good karma, and that might help us to when we go to heaven. And once we done with that, whatever due in the heaven, again we are back in this world, again go through the same old pattern of struggles, delusion, confusion. Right? There is absolutely no one, we can say that no one can in this world, unless that person has become a sthita prajnaha, can ever say that I am figured it out all. I know everything, how things are working. No troubles can ever trouble me. Right? No one can say that. Everyone is subject to it, subject to the ups and downs, pains and pleasures of life. We are on a roller coaster ride all the time in life. We don't know when pleasures will come. We don't know when pains will come. That is how we have made ourselves a situation, except for the sthita prajnaha, those chosen few who have, who are not just blessed. Everyone is blessed who has got a human form, human birth in this world. Every one of us are blessed. But the ones who are Sthita Prajna have not become a Sthita Prajna by mere blessing alone. They have become Sthita Prajna by their conscious effort to discover God within themselves. In an effort, they are dedicated to that. They intensify their efforts. It is not lukewarm efforts. I just wake up in the morning, 5-10 minutes I'll go in front of Bhagwan and then say some stotras, slokas, and then I'm done. I just thinking about it, and then we will quote some examples also to justify our actions. There was that story of that in Srimad Bhagavatam or in Mahabharata, where that person just recites Govinda one time and then he went to moksha. And so that is just enough. We will borrow stories from scriptures to support our action, right? So that is not the way that a sthita prajnaha, or the one who is totally established in wisdom, is accomplished. Continuous, constant, conscious effort from ourselves to move towards God is needed. If we are true about it, if we simply say that God is there, I believe in God, but yeah, I'm not that much, like I won't go too much deep into it. I will just be, it's a part-time job for me. It's not even part-time, it's just 5-10 minutes once in a while, and once in every week we go to this mandir, that temple, this temple, and then that's it. Our devotion is that. That is pure hypocrisy. We are cheating ourselves. If we believe in God, if we say that I believe in Krishna, what are the steps that we as a human individual in this birth take towards moving and reaching towards him? Right? What are the steps? Is there any steps? You guys are saying that there is God, and I also believe it. We all should ask people who are responsible for it, people who have read the Vedas, or authority in scriptures. They should enlighten us as to what are the methods by which we can reach. Right? We should be looking out for such information. Now Arjuna is clearly, that is why he is curious. He cannot stop from asking, how can I become one? That is the indirect thing that he is asking here, but he puts it in a nicely different way. How can we identify? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? When I say he, it also means she. Is there any signature for that person that we can identify? Let's see what Krishna has to answer to that question. Sri Bhagavanuvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogataan atmanyevatmanat tushtaha sthitaprajnastadochyate. Sthitaprajnastadochyate. He is called a sthitaprajna, or he or she is called a sthitaprajna When that person crosses all desires of the mind about sensory pleasures and stay situated in his own being. His mind is now stay put and situated in the being. His mind is not going out towards all the desires of in the world. Mind is always trying to catch desires. It's always running, and then we go behind this. But Krishna says that a sthita prajna is one that person is not trying to catch the desires. He is not trying to catch hold of any desires. He is letting them prajahati. He is just crossed all desires. When that happens, then that person is called sthita prajna. Sthita prajna tadochate. At that time, he is called sthita prajna. So what are the desires of the mind? Just think about it. Most of us, our mind, our desires control our mind. Our existence is totally based on our own desires. When you look at it, we like to see things with this eyes, right? We wanted to see and enjoy, watch YouTube videos, watch Netflix, and then WhatsApp videos, Facebook videos, videos of friends, videos of vacations enjoyed by friends, you name it. All those pictures that they have posted, we will not miss it. We have a desire to go, right? And then we start talking to others. That is a great pastime for us. Chit chat, gossip, right? Talk about hours together, and our ears are enjoying that. Have you observed it? When we talk, we enjoy. When we hear, we enjoy. And then eating, food. We have crazy desires for food. Morning or evening, dinner, breakfast, varieties. What different recipe I can try, I can eat. You have made that recipe, I have made this recipe. We exchange recipes. Taste, right? See how much of desires we have. Now these are all at one level. Other level of desires, if you observe it, is in terms of accumulation. I wanted to get this best dress, best occasion. I have already hundreds of such dress in my dressing room closet, but still go on buying. I cannot resist myself, my desire, passion to buy. And then acquisition, acquire gold, jewelry, silver, platinum, you name it. I want to acquire property, acquire, buy one more property, one more property, one more property. Keep on going. And then there is not just one beautification. We have a desire to beautify ourselves. Even though we know that we are getting older and older and older, we don't want to. We wanted to somehow stay younger. Not by heart though. By heart, everyone should stay young, of course. Alright? But physical appearance, we wanted to try to make younger and look younger. Physically being Fit is perfectly okay. I'm not saying, because that is health related, that is perfectly okay. But in terms of putting up a mask to look good, to beautify myself, ornaments. I decorate myself with so much of ornaments. Not only that, if I buy new dress, if I buy a new car and I buy a new ornament, I'm not just happy with that. My desire is not only that. I should be seen and appreciated by others. Others should praise and recognize my belongings. That is my desire. See, it keeps on growing. If nobody noticed my new dress or new necklace, let's say, or my new car that I have bought, I will be mad. I will be unhappy. Others should notice and say, "It is, when did you buy? Where did you buy? It is so good. It suits you very well." That day is made. We have made ourselves so much vulnerable for desires. Our desires are playing the major role in our life. If you look at it, probably we haven't observed it, but it is. And not only that, praise and recognition is needed, and recognition and awards. People wanted some name in the society. There's some recognition, some post. If someone is called vice president of this or secretary to this, that is my desire, right? I wanted, even though that doesn't mean anything, but I wanted that tag, that name has got a value. So we go behind those things. Now, when Krishna says, Sthita Prajna crosses all desires of the mind, this is all what it means. I just listed down few of them, but most of us know many things that we individually have, right? So many desires need to be crossed. Who has to cross? Our mind has to cross them. So that this person, Sthita Prajna, crossed all. Now any desire, anything that you show in front of that person, Sthita Prajna, he is unperturbed. His mind never sways and takes a decision whether somebody praises about his dress or somebody talks bad about his dress. He is undisturbed. He knows why he does that. At that time, at the same time, it doesn't mean that he will wear a shabby, uncultured dressing. I didn't mean that. But it doesn't have to be pompous, nor at the same time it doesn't have to be he or she doesn't have to be a laughing stock. That is also not needed. But in between is the state that a sthita prajna is being talked about. His mind is not deluded by desires of eyes or taste or talking or hearing or beauty or acquiring something. There are no desires in anything. Now Arjuna asked a question. So that means, is he a boring person? Will he become a boring person? Because that's what we all will ask, right? If you don't have any desire, who will ever want to achieve that state? That's why Krishna is giving the next line. Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. Tushtaha means satisfied. With what? Satisfied with his mind totally situated in his Atman. Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. His mind is not dwelling in the desires that are many. Because once you start your desires, if you observe the desires, there are literally thousands, millions of, the things in this world that one can enjoy, and still one by the end of their lifetime would not have exhausted all those excitement that one can enjoy. In a previous sloka, Krishna mentioned this. Bahushakha anantascha. If you remember, Bahushakha means various branches, branches and branches of opportunities for indulging. Anantascha. That is okay. We have many branches. At least let me go through this branch, and will I ever get an end to any of that branch? That is also not there. Every branch you go, we wanted more and more and more and more of it. There is nothing like by getting by getting more and more, we cannot stop that desire. For example, I have a strong desire towards watch, let's say having new watches. So how can I put an end to it? Putting an end is, in my opinion, get as many watches. Okay, let's buy the next one. Let's get the next model, right? Apple watches. Then next, Apple has released another watch. Let me get the next watch. Next, that I'm my illusion is that by going for every other watch more and more and more and more, my thirst for watches will be quenched. But will that happen? That will never happen. The more and more and more and more I go, the more and more it demands. I can never resist. I reach a point where I'm irresistible. I cannot stop myself. Compulsive behavior. Right? That is true even not just with watches, such great desires, even small desire. Opening up and using our mobile phone for that matter. Blindly like an automaton. We just go pick up, check for messages, slide here, check for status updates, and then go keep on doing. Half an hour gone. Right? So that is how we are dragged by our desires on and on and on and on. So Bahusakha Anantascha. There are many and it is limitless, endless. Each branch is endless. Now that is what here he says has to be. Once he crossed that, then we reach a spot where he can rest himself. If the mind goes behind all those branches, there is going to be no end to it. We will never be outdone. Our mind can never say that I am done with all those desires, because it's infinite. We go again and again and again, and it will occupy the entire lifetime and more. And now, will the person be boring if he doesn't go behind the desires? He gets bored actually. If you and I, if we have observed, we know that once we go behind the desires, soon we get bored, and then we go look for another thing, another, right? But Krishna here says that if the mind is taken away from those desires and placed on the Atman, that Atman is nothing but our own being. When you just observe within yourself, a thought, a feeling within ourselves, with no thoughts at all attached to it, we can experience it. Maybe not for a longer duration, but at least for a few moments. Everyone can experience that. That being, so mind is placed on that being, constantly attached, then he already derives absolute happiness. Fountain of happiness is inside, and so he will never be boring, but he will enjoy himself. He himself will not be bored of the things around him. He will be at perfect peace with everything else around him. That is what he says here. Now let's see. Um, 1 second. Lost my sharing. Okay. And so the primary point that Krishna is trying to make here is desires should be crossed and put the mind right back in your own being, and that person is called Sthita Prajnaha. Now he goes on to add the next verse. Let's see what it is. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha Sukheshu vigataspruhaha Pitaraga bhayakrodhaha Sthitadhihi munirichate. He says that desires rise within us, but sukham and dukkham, pleasures and pains, are caused from outside, right? Because we come in contact with the outside world, we encounter pleasures and pain. If you observe about it, if you think about it, desires are something that is just born within ourselves. Assume that somehow we are able to cross those desires. We are in a state where we are not perturbed, we are not attracted, we are not swayed by any desire. Our mind is well established. No matter whether you show some property or gold jewelry or nice great dress or any such thing, it's not that when I lost my desire, doesn't mean that I will not go and accept anything, but cravings will be gone. There won't be craving for it, but we can always accept and use it with an awareness in our mind. So one thing before we go into this next shloka I would like to stress here is how to, we have stated the problem here, but we haven't given any solution yet. What can we do about it? We are having so many desires that are running in our mind, crazy, pulling ourselves in all directions. Is there anything that we can do about it? The first thing we all should do, in my opinion, is to audit our desires. Perform a daily audit of how I am susceptible to desires. Right from the morning all the way up to the time that we go to bed. We can do that. We can take a time, probably in the evening or in the morning, just for 15-20 minutes. Just think about, reflect upon what all things I was craving today. Unless we do such effort on an everyday basis, note down, saying that I think I went over a lot on that food item today. Probably that is something. The reason that exercise will really help is that creates an awareness within ourselves about our desires. Because first step towards moving towards God within us is to understand, he tells clearly, right, is to understand our desires. Because unless we cross the desires, our mind won't be established. Unless our mind is established, we won't be able to witness God within us. Right? So the first step is to know about those desires. To control those desires is next step. Let's talk about it in postgraduate course. We are still in undergraduate. We should first know what those desires are lurking in the darkness of our mind. Right? We are just living the life as we go without worrying about. That is how life is, right? We don't have to do any modifications. Maybe some desires are genuine, right? But at least we should know, be aware that, oh, okay, I have this and I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. If I ask you, you will definitely say that I am not that greedy person. I'm free from desires. But ask yourself private yourself inside. Take some 15 minutes, write it down on an everyday basis. I'm sure you will be surprised. Wow, so many things I have been craving for and I wasn't even aware of it. Right? Such a realization should be the first step. We are moving towards one step towards that realization, God realization, enlightenment. Right? We have to take some steps. First step is to know about, understand about our own desires. So let us start doing that. If you are interested, you can actually do that. That is a good exercise that will give a lot of information about ourselves, our hidden desires, most importantly. So now, desires are inside us. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha. Whenever something bad happens, dukkha, right? Dukkeshu. In situations where there is miseries, pains, then this person who is a sthita prajna, he is anudvignamanaha, which is he is unperturbed. He is not even disturbed. He is not depressed when something bad happens, when some pain happens. More importantly, it can be physical pain, it can be pain in your emotional pain, but he is not troubled by that. Sukheshu, when pleasure happens, vigadasprhaha, he is dispassionate about it. He is disinterested about it. In English, there is this word, right? Interested, uninterested, disinterested. Pleasures happen, he is disinterested, aloof, right? He is acting as a witness to himself. What do you mean by disinterested, right? Can we just say that I'm not disinterested, I'm disinterested? He is acting as a witness to the whole thing. He is not being part of that pleasure. Most of the times when bad, painful things happen in the world to us, or pleasure things happen to us, we start identifying ourselves with that pain and pleasure. And so we are not aware of it even. We are just associating ourselves with that pain. And we say that I am in pain, right? We say that I am in pain and then I am in pleasure. We just associate our being. Our being is independent of pain and pleasure. That's what we saw. To that Atman, there is no death, no birth, no pain, no happiness, no misery, nothing. It is eternal bliss though. So when such is the case, how can any of these things affect? Right here. So that means that that person is observing it as a witness, the whole thing that is happening, the pleasure that reaches, and this body and this mind involved in that pleasure or pain. and this person himself is observing himself or herself, that what his body or her body and mind is just part of that, but that person himself or herself is apart from that. Such a realization is what Krishna is saying here, that dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. Whenever dukkha, sad things happen, he is not troubled by that. That is when we cannot be troubled by. Miseries can never be avoided in this world. Happiness also, pleasurable things can also be not avoided. They are back to back. As long as we are living, they are going to be there, part of our life. No one can say that I have crossed all the miseries. That is why here Krishna didn't say that cross all your miseries. We cannot pretend to be happy all the time. He didn't say that. That is like a fantasy idea, right? Just pretend that there is no problem. No, he didn't give any fantasies here. He is right up front, brutally honest. He says that problems will be there, but that person who has reached the perfection of the skill of attaining oneness through this yoga, he is indifferent about what happens to him, pleasure or pain from the outside world. Now, whenever bad thing is about to happen, right? Whenever an unwanted thing is about to happen in our life, maybe tomorrow, let's say, a person who you don't like, let's say, he or she is visiting your house, or they are having a meeting with you, which we don't wanted it, but we have been always worried about, and that should not happen, and that has happened. And as long as we are just thinking that that unwanted event should not happen, fear will be there in our mind. Any unwanted thing that you don't want that to happen, the thing that we hate should not happen, fear will be there in our mind. All right, and the wanted thing, we wanted one thing desperately to happen. It can be something like we wanted to reach the airport right at 11 o'clock. We don't want to miss it, and we'll be worried for that also. We'll be scared that if the thing that we wanted to happen should happen without any interruption, what if we get a flat tire halfway through? Oh no, that's what I feared and it happened, right? So the next next part of the shloka talks about that. Vita raga bhaya krodha sthitadhihi munirichyate. Three things being mentioned there. Raga, bhaya, krodha. Raga. Raga is an anticipation, a like. I think that's going to happen tomorrow, and I start anticipating now. Wow, I'm good that I'm going to be awarded, or I'm going to be given an award tomorrow in that excitement, right? That anticipation of the excitement. One is that happiness itself. Once you are given, and we just rejoice it and you are happy about it. But ragam is even before that, in anticipation of the good thing, right? That itself is a killer, should be avoided. So Sthita Prajnaha is not even, he will not even rejoice about it, he will not even look forward to that with a eager anticipation of the good thing. That is ragam. Bhayam is a negative anticipation, right? It's like it should not happen. Something I wish that it doesn't happen. Or bhayam also for the one that I like should happen without interruption. Both of that we will have fear in our mind. And if the wishful thing, the last one is krodhaha, which is anger. The thing that we wish for, Tomorrow there is an award, so that they have announced that you will be given an award, and a last minute you get a phone call from the organizers that no, it's not going to be you, we by mistake we picked you up, it's going to be another person with whom you really hate, let's say. Now your anger will double up. You are anxiously waiting for the good thing to happen, a happiness to happen. Now that didn't happen, that results in anger. And likewise, if we are hating a thing to not to happen and that happened, let's say, then also our anger will go up. We'll say that how dare you did it. I know, we'll start putting blame on everybody. It's because of this, because of them, because of him, because of her. If something good happened, we take all the thing because of me, because of. So if you see that first shloka he spoke about the desires, and the second shloka he talks about another group of emotions that are closely tied to those desires, the likes and the dislikes that we have. Because of something that we like, we don't want that to go wrong, and we have so much of anticipation towards that. If something goes wrong, our anger will spike up. And if because we don't like something, if that did happen, fear increases, anger increases. So this is an emotional, what to call, mess that is contributing to our desires also. And this overall, along with desires, creates that delusion in our mind that we have been talking about all along. And that delusion is the wall between our being and God within us. You can think of God as probably half inch away from us. We are here, our being is here, right? And he is probably might be sitting half inch above us, at least pictorially imagine, right? Now, that half inch of space, that is a thick delusion wall, that is caused by ourselves. He didn't cause anything. We have created that such a strong wall that is piled up with garbage. That is piled up with so much of crap that is preventing us from seeing ourselves, our true state, and also to move towards that superpower within us. And both are right within our reach. And we have created our own walls around us using the delusion. Right? And we are not happy about it also. We run around and round and round and round complaining about ourselves in few cases, right? It's because of me that I didn't do this, or others. Both are wrong. I cannot complain about myself. I cannot complain about others also. When it is wrong to put the blame on others, how is it right that I can put the blame on myself, right? And also, if you look at it, staying good, being good, doing good to others doesn't still make a person sthita prajna. You can say that I know a person who is so good, he or she never bothers anyone. He lives his life peacefully, doing puja, this, that, and then he is devoted and he takes care of. Still, that wall may be slightly lesser, thinner, but the wall is still there. Being good, being noble, nice doesn't help. Still, one has to make that effort to break that wall. the congestion that we have created within ourselves. That is the only way that we can achieve that sthita prajna, state of sthita prajna, steady state of mind. That we, it's a cliche that we are using, right? We used to say in our life that one should have a steady state of mind, but this is the true steady state of mind Krishna is referring to here as the sthita prajna, rightfully established in the intelligence. So what can we do about it? In this one, in the previous verse, what can we do about it? We already saw that we will have to make an audit of our desires to identify, be aware of it, right? Okay, this is what I have been and this is what my desires have been. Just that's a good information, and probably that can, we can prune down, right? Now in this sloka, what is our action item? What is that we are learning, and what is that we have to act upon? Because any sloka or any knowledge that you hear from me or from anyone, is one thing is always look for actions. If something is going without actions, then it may be good to listen to. I mean, oh wow, that is Bhagwad Gita. It talks about great knowledge and stuff. That is one thing, but it doesn't stop just there. We will have to act upon it, right? Because doing is what we all needed. What is that? It has to be done about. That curiosity should be there. So now the next shloka, it talks about sukheshu dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vihadasprihaha. What is our device? What is our practical application that we can do about it, right? How can we apply this knowledge? Now you can again do an audit of this. In that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever may be the time, it can be after dinner, 9 o'clock, you can sit before going to bed, to just think about it and then write it down. You'll be amazed to see that you have, after a week, if you see the logs, you would have created a wonderful log data for yourself that will help you in deciding. So the data that we can get here is, during the day, what things happened that really put me off. So sukheshu dukkeshu anudvignamanaha, right? If sad things, misery things, bad things happen, we'll have to stay neutral, right? We are not disturbed by it. How many instances happened that really put me off, that made me go wild, crazy, mad? Note it down. I'm not saying that suppress them. No. That is how we are, right? Because it has to automatically happen. Suppression cannot be, we can to some extent, but not at this time unless you are aware of it. What is the intensity? How much is the depth of our intolerance towards pain and pleasure? We don't want to act on it right away, but first to inform ourselves as to this is what we are, right? So bad things, how it affected me, what all things happened. Did I react to that, or did I just accept it inside me? If I had swallowed it, that is even more bad, because that's going to cause health issues for me. If I had spit it out, then that is going to cause hurt in others, right? Then also I'll start feeling guilty about it. All those things, just write it down. Maybe later slokas will really help you to address them. I don't want to say right now what it is. We'll go one by one. But writing it down will really give you the log of your mind. You're just outpouring it. Along with it, when good things happened, pleasurable things happened, how did I react? Did I wholly associate myself and then indulge? There is nothing good or wrong or bad or incorrect about it. I'm not saying that you should not indulge, you should restrain at this time. It is all observation. how much we are able to observe ourselves, how much we are able to be aware of our own inner working. How is our mind behaving, reacting to situations, positive or negative? Is it overreacting, underreacting? You just write it down from your perspective. That will really take a long way. Then also the fears. What all things I was scared of? What all instances scared me? Right? And then a little bit dig deeper. Why did it why did it result in such a level of anxiety? Was it really needed? Little bit of drill down into that each and every event to see what is really happening inside us. That will tell the true story of our being. Right? Otherwise, it is all like, I'm just doing correctly, right? Without we auditing, inspecting it. One thing is when you start observing, it will start behaving. If you have watched, if you have observed it. When you start observing it, it will start behaving well. When you don't observe, it will behave like a uncontrolled, right? So that is the reason that we need to do that. Now the next last verse for today is yah sarvatra nabhisnehas tat tat prapya subhashubham nabhinandati nadveshthi tasya prajna pradishthita. His or her intelligence is well established. His or her mind is enlightened. Her soul is his or her soul is enlightened. Whose soul? One who has taken away all attachments, completely withdrawn all attachments in all aspects of life, not in terms of work. Work, we will be fully involved and doing the work. Attachment in work, attachment in results, right? Attachment in the results that I will get. Work wise, we will 100%, we will have to do it. We cannot sever the ties with work yet. He is just disinterested, not attached to the results. That is what here attachment means, right? And nabhinandati, he is not delighted by any great things. He doesn't rejoice in so much if good things happen, auspicious good things happen. Shubham, right? Shubham or ashubham, anything happens. If shubham happens, he doesn't get delighted about it. Shubham can be because of his work. When we do a work, that work might result in a shubham, good things for so many, not just you individually, hundreds of people, 2000 people. Shubham has happened, still is, and everybody is like celebrating that action, but he will make sure, he or she will make sure that they are not part of that they will be part of the celebration, they will enjoy and all, but they will not take it into their heart. That is more important. So physically involving and then dancing about and being part of the whole ambience is all good, staying happy and all. The moment that it becomes we internally, when we associate that yes, it is because of me, that is what is not needed. But it happened very well, then let's all enjoy happy, but not because of me. That thing should be there, right? Let everyone enjoy and I'll also be happy. So that is totally different than associating to myself. And not rejoices, he just the rejoice is because he's already full of happiness, bliss. So Shubham or Ashubham is not going to add to, for example, an example is an ocean is there. Ocean has so much of water, right? It is full of water. A river that carries and drains itself into an ocean cannot say that I have brought more water to you, ocean, so you better be feel happy about it. Not necessary, because ocean, whether rivers bring in water or not, ocean, it's in itself, it is filled with water. Same way Sthita Prajna is filled with happiness. It's extremely ecstatic. There is no Shubham or Ashubham that can bring happiness or misery into that person's heart. It's not needed, because it's already full. That is why he stays in that state. It is not that he is rejecting it. It's not say it is not a conscious effort to not be happy or not rejoice or not to be disturbed. It is a subconscious being. That person is in itself extremely happy whatever happens. That is the state that Sita Prajna is in. And so what kind of rejoicing will ever give a Shani Shubham or any great thing? That is what Krishna's point here. With that, we come to the end of this week's session. I will see you all with more shlokas in the next few weeks. I hope that you will all do your audit log. Let me know in the WhatsApp group if you have any questions or even help in getting started with such an audit log. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.